My name is Rudy Ramos, and you are listening to Monday Morning Critic.
So, Rudy, I'm going to say, going through your career, it's almost like startling realizing, like looking at all your credits and how amazing your career has been. The length, what you've done, like it's almost unheard of for actors to have that long of a career. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel like it's been quite an achievement for you?
Yeah, actually, uh, I do. I've been doing this for 53 years. I've been a working actor, and it's been over 7 decades. The 1969 is when I got my Screen Actors Guild card, and here we are
Yes.
in 2020, it's almost 23. So that's
Wow.
7 decades, and all of that. But I've had a lot of ups and downs, but there's been a lot more ups than downs.
Yeah.
I started out on the world stage, doing a television series that was already a hit when I came into it, called The High Chaparral,
Yep.
and it's a legendary western. And now here I am, 50 something years later. I'm in another legendary western, and it's like I'm coming down the home stretch. I understand that, but it's yeah, most people don't do 7 decades because they're smart enough to get out after a while. But I love my acting, and that's just what I do. I have a real passion for it. I love working, and when I'm not doing film, I'm doing stage.
Right.
Uh, so yeah, it's been a very nice career. I can say that.
Yeah, and you've played a variety of characters. Rudy, what is your ethnicity? Because Ramos is more of like a Latino name, but I feel like, what is your ethnicity? I was wondering that going through it because over those 70 years, you've played a ton of different parts of, different ethnicities. So, what if you don't mind me asking you, what
Oh
is
no,
your
I don't, and I played many different tribes too. I
Yep.
am a Mexican native from the Azteca band,
Hmm.
and uh, I'm half. I'm half. It's my Mexica is my tribe, Mexica,
Yeah.
and that's a
Yep.
Mexican native, like an Alaska native or Canadian native. There's
Right.
natives all over the place. It's not just Native Americans. We're
Right.
all brothers. We're all brothers. So
Right.
my tribe is Mexica. It is a band of the Aztecas in not kind of just south of the El Paso border. Mostly that tribe is down in there. It was maybe around Durango and Chihuahua in that area there.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And Mo brings plenty on Yellowstone. Always keeps me informed as to what I am and where I'm from. So, but I
Yeah.
was raised in Lawton, Oklahoma, in the black section of town, and it was all natives and blacks and very few whites. And the tribes were Kiowa, Comanche, Apache, and some Pimas. So that's my upbringing. I really didn't learn to speak Spanish because we weren't allowed to speak Spanish there because it was like could get you in trouble or have a lot of people would make fun of and not meaning to. Well, maybe they were meaning to, but it was just what my parents went through. They didn't want us to go through that, so they only spoke English to us. And I learned Spanish when I came out. I was like 20 to California, and then I learned little by little by little because it's this real Spanish-speaking community in Los Angeles, and that's where I was for 12 years. So I've had the best of both worlds. Been able to share both cultures, be able to explore both cultures through my work, and it's very cool.
Yeah, it certainly is. Rudy, did you find out acting early on when you started being a Latino actor? Do you feel like it was difficult? Do you feel like you had to overcome obstacles? You mentioned speaking, Spanish. Do you feel like you had obstacles that perhaps other actors did not have early on?
Early on, I was too young and too inexperienced to even
Yeah.
think about working. I was just fell into acting by accident through one thing after another, meeting this person, and then I met another person who set up an audition for not an audition but a meeting with
Mhm.
Jane Murray, who's a legendary casting director at MGM. She did all those TV shows, and this lady that I met had a good, real strong feeling about me, and I didn't know what it was, but she wanted me to meet this lady, Jane Murray, so I did. And that lady, Jane Murray, talked to me for about 20 minutes one day out at MGM studio. And she sent me to my first mentor, a man by the name of Sherman Marks, who was from the Actors Studio in New York, the director's unit. He
Okay.
was in California doing television, and he had an acting workshop. It was it was a scene study workshop, and it was
Yeah.
all professional. And here I am, this young kid from Oklahoma, and I had never been around anything like that. But he took a liking to me, invited me to be in his class, and I studied with him for 2 years. Actually, he wouldn't let me work for the first 6 months. He made me just sit and watch, and I watched. I watched actors working. They were short scenes, 7 minutes long was his. That's as long as he let you go because he wanted you to work on developing your character and from working from the inside out and as privately as you could. And that was great training for me. So when I got a call to go out and audition for the High Chaparral, I was I was trained. I was well trained.
Right.
So if they were having trouble casting that part anyway, they had already screen tested 2 guys for the part. But I was the last one seen because when I went in, I got it that day. So
Wow.
yeah,
Wow.
and
Uh,
the next week I was shooting my first episode at Tucson, Arizona.
wow. And the Actors Studio is a very prestigious place. I think that's the James Lipton. He used to have a show inside the Actors
Yes,
Studio. Yeah, it's a very prestigious acting school. So it sounds like that really did you and your career a lot of good.
yes, it did. And Sherman and I were together for like 8 years, and then he passed away suddenly from a heart attack. But all of those things he instilled in me have never gone away, ever,
Yeah.
ever, ever. Everything that he taught me, I still remember, and it's helped me all along with my work. It's always been private. It's everything that he taught me pertained to film acting too, not just on stage. On stage, you just have more time to rehearse, and I need time to rehearse. And when I get that time to rehearse, then I can really get loose because you're free from your words.
Yep.
Once you're free from your words, now you're really cooking.
Yeah.
So television, movies, it's different. You don't get that rehearsal. So hopefully you get your material early on so you can rehearse because I know how to rehearse. You can rehearse by yourself, and so you're not just you got it the day before and you got to go in and do the scene, and you're really just kind of doing words and be as believable as you can. So it's been a great journey for me, the acting. I've learned a lot about myself through acting. I've learned a lot about life and other cultures uh, from my work, and none of this would have ever happened had it not been for this work. I've been able to see most of the world on someone else's dime. So
Yeah.
that would have never happened either. So
Yeah.
I'm very grateful for what I've had, and even Yellowstone. This is season 5, and I'm still with them. I was only
Yeah.
supposed to do the first 2 shows of season 1, and season 1 turned into 7 shows, and
Wow.
and one season 1 turned into season 5. So that's Taylor Sheridan. Those Taylor liked what I did, and he had already written the first 5 scripts. So I was in the first 2, was not in 3, 4, and 5. But when I finished my work on uh, episode 2 of season 1,
Yeah.
he came up to me and gave me a big hug because he's a hugger, and said, I'm so proud of you. And wait till you see what I got for you in episode 6. And that's when I found out I was coming back. And I ended up finishing the season with him. So
Rudy, didn't you tell him at one point, listen, if I'm going out, I want a glorious death. I want to be his response was great, right?
yeah, it was. I was always teasing him. Now, when you got, what did I say to him? Whenever you kill me off, it's
Yeah.
got to be a big, big, big thing, Taylor. And he said, "Oh, Rudy, I'm not going to kill you off. I only kill off the young ones, not the old ones." So, and
That's
so
great.
far, it's I'm still there. And some of the younger ones are gone. They didn't get killed, but the
Yeah.
flashbacks, this and
Yeah.
that.
Rudy, I was looking at your career and I was thinking about TV in 2022. Like right now, there's like hundreds of shows available.
Yes.
And your filmography early on, I'm old enough to know that in 8 o'clock on CBS, it was this show. Like when you had these shows that I'm about to mention for those listening or watching, like these were the shows. It's not like you had a ton of options. You had what was on CBS, NBC, ABC, maybe something else, and that was it. So when you were on these shows, that's a big, big deal.
It was. Fox wasn't even a network yet. It was.
No.
Also, you can add PBS to that, but I never did a
PBS.
PBS thing. But yeah, ABC, NBC, and NBC.
Yep.
That was it. And
You
I did a lot of guest shots on the big shows.
Yeah. You mentioned High Chaparral, Hawaii Five-0, The Rockford Files, which had the best song in the beginning of the theme. St. Elsewhere, Knight Rider. You can see the plate behind me. I met William Daniels this year. MacGyver. You were in a phenomenal movie, Colors, Beverly Hills Cop, and of course we're going to get to Yellowstone. But that's and I just took some of it. Like, I mean, there's a lot more, but like that's a pretty impressive filmography, Rudy.
And I did some TV movies too. I did the first TV movie that had over 100 million viewers.
Wow.
For a 2-day period. It was the Helter Skelter.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Okay.
Yep. Steve Railsback scared the pants off of America playing Charles Manson, and I played his buddy, the biker Danny DeCarlo.
Oh, I forgot about that. Yeah.
That show in 1976 drew 100 million people over 2 years. So
that's unbelievable. That's unbelievable.
Yeah. Do you remember a movie called Baby Jessica about the little girl who fell down in the well in Texas?
That's right. I do remember. That was a huge deal when that happened.
And it was a huge film too, and I was one of the stars of that film. I played the first police officer on the scene, who laid right there by that pipe, talking to her the whole time.
Oh, okay. All right. So yeah, I had to leave some off because that's amazing. Yeah, that's amazing. I remember Rudy with my dad. I felt like we used to bond to westerns and to spaghetti westerns, and it's so nice to see them making a comeback. And I said this to Denham. I feel like Kevin Costner is our new Clint Eastwood, right? The guy who's so is Taylor Sheridan. You can add them together. Like I feel like they're bringing it back. They're making it cool and hip again. So it's like, it's so awesome to see because they're such a huge part of culture, both Native American culture, Western culture. I can go on and on. It's just such a vital part of history, Rudy.
Yeah, it is, and it's just growing too. I mean, he's doing other projects, and what a gift he has. I mean, he writes things so quick. I read an article about him today. It's the best interview I've ever read about Taylor Sheridan, and I've read a lot of them too. But he's just an amazing person, and he writes fast. He has a series coming up. I think it might be on now, 1923.
Yeah, just started. Yep.
Yeah, and he knew who he wanted. He wanted the English actress. What's her name?
It's Harrison Ford plays the lead.
Yes.
I'll think of it. I'll think of it before the interview's up.
He knew who he wanted before he wrote it, and Harrison Ford flew into his ranch in Texas, and they talked. And he said, "So, can I see the material?" And he said, "I haven't written it yet. I just need to know who I'm writing for." And he did the same thing to the actress too. And they read and when he wrote it, they read it, and they loved it.
Yeah,
that's the way he works. He just goes. He's like a machine, and it's all culturally correct. Doesn't matter what your culture are. Like in 1883, there were cultures from all over the country, going from Texas to Wyoming or Montana. They didn't even speak English. There was all different cultures, and he examines all those cultures and does them culturally correct. That's the best thing for me with the natives and the way that they are written in his script in Yellowstone. When I got this material to do my audition scene, I didn't know anything about it, and then when I read it, I thought, oh, this is really a good part. They're going to go for Wes Studi or Graham Greene, 2 Academy Award nominees.
Sure,
but I had been out doing stage for 6 years. Doing one-man show about Geronimo and his later days and his side of the story, and I was having the best time of my life because it is the best role I ever had, and it was written for me. But when I saw this material, I related to it. I wanted it. I wanted to make it mine. So
Mm.
I had about a week to work on it, and I went in. I read for it. They called me back right away. And next time I went in, it was about a week later, and heard there was a big group of people in that room. And if you've ever been an actor, when there's a group of people in there, it's an important part.
Sure.
So I thought, oh, okay, well, and I just focused. I was sharp. My chops were sharp. I had been working, for 5, 6 years around going around the country with that show. I wasn't doing any film. Nobody was knocking on my door. I didn't even have an agent. I had just gotten one.
Hmm.
Got this audition. And when I finished my last line of the second scene, I heard someone say, "Yep, that's it."
Wow.
I couldn't
Wow.
see who said it. So
Wow.
when I went out into the inner office and I was leaving, and Mr. Linson got up and he thanked me for coming in. I thanked him for let Mr. Linson's the other producer
Mm.
with Kevin and Taylor. And there was a lady watching a screen like I'm watching you right now.
Right.
And I said, did you just see that scene I did in there? And she said, "Oh, no, this is somebody's audition tape, and I'm watching it for casting." I said, "Well, I heard somebody say, 'Yep, that's it,' and I couldn't see who did it." She said, "Oh, that's Taylor. He's
Huh.
in where was he? On Skype. He was in Utah on Skype."
Wow.
And he said, "Yep, that's it." So I was his guy. He cast me himself.
That's great. Is because he's such a pristine writer and such a well-respected writer, is there pressure on you as an actor to get every word right? Because there's some writers, there's some directors, there's some showrunners that are okay if you get most of the script, you miss a couple words here. With a guy like Taylor Sheridan, Rudy, do you feel like there's pressure to get every single thing down right?
Well, it's no, I've never felt that pressure. And
Okay.
and if I did go off script for a minute, he probably wouldn't mind unless it was real important to him, like a word or just a few words.
Right.
But he writes such great material. He writes like people talk, so it sticks uh, quicker than if it was other writers writing of this. They write like I've had scripts before that just people didn't talk like that, but that was the script. Those were the words I was asked to say, and I've had trouble with stuff like that before. I've not gotten in trouble, but there's always the script girls or the script guys saying, "Rudy, that's not what it says." And I said, "Yeah, but I'm rehearsing. Just give me a shot here." But no, with Taylor, the words just flow out of your mouth because you don't have to really think about them, and
Yeah.
and you get plenty of time before you work. Like me, when they call me back, they always call me at least a month in advance to see if I'm available. Let me see. What am I? Yeah, I'm available. And then they send me, whatever it is I'm going to be doing, and I've got some time to work on it. So
Yeah.
he doesn't just throw it on you. And
Yeah.
if we have to make some changes, he's real cool with his actors. He's got world-class actors,
Yeah,
and
of
he hires
course. Okay.
that's what that group of people is, which I'm proud to be a part of.
Yep.
uh, we are we're there to serve Taylor, to bring those words to life,
Yeah.
and we've all have a lot of credits. We know why we're there, and there's never any nonsense go on set. Everybody's just having a really really good time. So it's the best of the best. Even if I remember one day there was something in a scene that I was doing, and I just felt that there needed to be a filler. And I went to him. He said, "What's wrong? I can see something's bothering you." He said, "Well, it's not bothering me, but there's something's missing right here. That a movement or a word, something. What do you think?" And he went, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." So go ahead and say something. And I said, "Well, what do you want me to say?" He said, "Don't ask me. It was your idea." That's how he trusts his actors, and I will never forget that. That he trusts his actors. He just sits
Yeah.
back, he writes it, he sits back and he watches, and then he's always watching on a camera. Everything we shoot is 3 cameras,
Yeah.
so he sees right then if that's what he wants or not.
Yep.
He's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he is.
we are all so fortunate to be working with him, and 1 and 2. Uh, he was the only director I had. He
Wow.
directed everything the first seven, eight shows I did, it was Taylor the whole time.
Yeah.
He's fascinating to watch. And, between takes, if there's going to be a 20, 30 minutes between setups and we're out in the field, in the boonies somewhere, he's always got his horse out there and he rides circles
Wow.
with his little reining horse. And I know Randy, my wife is a reiner. So I see him, just walking and doing lead changes and riding at a canter and then slowing down to, a slow, but not a trot, but still just with his body. He knows what he's doing with horses. And that's his way of relaxing when they're setting up the next shot.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. You mentioned your one man show, Geronimo. If you had to narrow it down to maybe one thing, Rudy, what did you learn about the man? I'm sure there's a lot you learned about the man, but if you had to narrow it down for somebody who maybe doesn't know as much as you do or a historian knows, tell me one thing that if you had to tell somebody about Geronimo, what would it be?
Geronimo was passionate about his people, his land, and his family.
Mm.
Very passionate. And that's why he fought tirelessly for 10 years. It took 2 nations to get him to lay down arms. He'd been captured many times, but he always got away.
Yeah.
This time when he laid down arms, it was with Lieutenant Gatewood at a meeting at a fireplace when there was soldiers on this side with rifles, Indians on this side with rifles, and they were just down there talking. They made a deal for him to lay down arms. He would be moved to Florida to be on a reservation for the rest of his life.
Mm.
So he agreed to that. And then by the time that the soldiers came to get him and his small band of warriors, Gatewood wasn't there anymore. It was somebody else. So they put him on a train. They sent him to Florida, and they got out of the train and they went right to a dungeon.
Wow.
That was never ever honored. And then when the soldiers and the military was seeing the Indians were dying off, even the soldiers were dying off because the Indians, they didn't have their land to grow their herbs and stuff that would keep them from being sick.
Right.
And so there was people from across the great waters that was coming with new diseases, and everybody was dying off down there. Said they moved them to Alabama, and the same thing happened for another 2 years. Then they sent them to Fort Sill, Oklahoma, which is where I'm from.
Mm.
So, and he spent the final 15 years of his life there, as a prisoner of war in his own country.
Wow.
That's my story.
Yeah.
But his passion for his people, his land, his tribe, his family, that's what struck me. And then I saw, but he wasn't angry. He was defending his people, his land.
Yeah.
And he fought, and anybody would fight. If somebody came into your house and said, "You're out of here, buddy. I'm taking it over." We just met, and I could see you'd fight.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's the land. They took the land. The families that killed them. So it's really a good story. It was well received all over I went from California to Mississippi. I went from Fort Worth, Texas to Utah, and I shut down after 5 years because of the COVID.
Sure.
I wasn't comfortable being on airplanes or being in a small theater in another town. So I shut it down in 19 and all my shows in 2020. And then this theater in Los Angeles, where I had done it multiple times, called me and said, the theater owner said, I would like for you to close the solo festival with your show. I'm going to live stream it all over the country, and there will be no audience. And I thought, well, that's a challenge. No audience, because I really related to my audience. I was talking to them the whole time, pacing back and forth, getting right there so they could see me, and their eyes would get real big. And I never felt like I lost one person in any theater when I was telling that story. So I said I would do it, and it came out great. And when I walked off stage, I told my wife, I said, I think that's it. And I went to Montana to do another episode of Yellowstone. When I came back, I knew it was it. But I owned the link to that show. So when I go to like autograph signing shows or different events that I go to,
Hmm.
I have a lot of Geronimo T-shirts, and when somebody buys one, I give them the link to my show because I'm still reaching people. That's all I wanted to do, is to reach as many people as I could. So
Sure.
we write down their email, and then we send it right there. So I'm still reaching people 2 years after I stopped doing it. So
Very nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I'm grateful for that too.
Yeah, very nice. Earlier we were talking about Taylor Sheridan, and I know that Kevin Costner's an executive producer. How much say does he have, Rudy, in the show itself, right? Because I'm sure Taylor respects the hell out of Kevin because of, who he is, what he's done, what he sees. Very creative eye. Kevin's the face of Westerns in a lot of ways. Does Kevin have, or is this just all Taylor's thing, and everyone kind of does their own thing, or is
No,
is Kevin's role a little different, or no?
well, yeah, because he's not writing it, but there's a real trust between those two. You see them
Yeah.
talk, you see them talking all the time, and they're not arguing. If if Kevin's not agreeing with him, you can see his right foot starts pawing
I can picture that. I can picture that.
at the ground, and I see him do that in the movie too when he's getting upset a little bit in
Yeah.
the show. He'll start pawing like a horse when they're come on, turn me loose. But I've never seen them argue. He's got a big say so in the show, and he's a writer himself. And he trusts Taylor too. We all do. So, but he's got a. I mean, he's one of the executive producers. I don't know if you probably know this because, but HBO turned the show down.
Wow, I didn't know that.
Oh yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God.
Taylor went to HBO, and they felt like it needed to have some changes and possibly Robert Redford, and I think Taylor got Robert Redford, and they said, well, a younger Robert Redford. And by the time that time was running out, and the guy who was running HBO at the time and supported that project but couldn't get it done, he let Taylor take that with him.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
when he it was his last week of being with HBO, and I can't think of his name, but Taylor went right to Paramount, and they jumped on it.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah, I can't get, that's unbelievable.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
yeah.
unbelievable. How would you describe your character Felix Long to somebody who hasn't seen the show yet, Rudy?
I love my character Felix
Me
Long.
me too.
Felix is the elder of the reservation,
Hmm.
the where people go to talk. Even Kevin, the first scene that we did in episode 1, he was venting to me about these cattle who wandered onto the reservation that belonged to the other ranchers, and now we're going to have a problem here, and we did too. As the show went on, um, he was venting to me, and then he saw his son out in that pasture, and so he. A lot of people have said, he's the only sane one in season 1. He's quiet. Uh, we had to kind of develop our own backstories about what happened. And the girl that plays Kelsey Asbiel, who plays my granddaughter Monica,
Monica, yeah.
she had hers, I had mine, and we decided that he was, in what I learned in my Geronimo show is that a lot of natives were taken off the reservation and sent to Carlisle, Pennsylvania to learn how to be white men.
Mm.
So I've decided that because I knew later on it was going to be discovered that he was a Vietnam veteran too. So I decided, yeah, he was one of those that went to Carlisle, learned how to be a white man, came out, went to Vietnam, did his duty, and then came back to the reservation. So he is the most respected one on the reservation, even more so than probably the chief,
Mm. Mm.
because the chief is new,
Yeah.
and Gil Birmingham plays the chief, and Gil
Phenomenal.
Birmingham is a great actor. I always tease him. He said, "You're stronger than than homemade soap, buddy." I mean, that's pretty heavy duty right there, homemade soap. But
Yeah.
he's a nice, quiet guy. He kind of reminds me of some of the natives that I grew up around, especially the Comanches or the Kiowas.
Yeah.
He's real quiet, he's real kind of sly. He's always got this sly little grin. You
Yeah.
don't know if he's laughing at you or laughing with you. Uh,
Yeah.
but then when you get him and he starts to trust you, he kind of opens up. He works nonstop. He does Yellowstone, and then he goes and does another series, another mini series. He finishes that, comes to Yellowstone, and then does another mini series.
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
great actor.
He's amazing in Wind River. I mean,
Yes,
amazing. Like it's heartbreaking, and he's also great in Hell or High Water. Like, and
yes,
I
he was.
noticed, yeah, and I noticed that Kevin has a couple of the same guys. I know with Taylor he has Gil Birmingham, James Jordan brings back a couple of those same guys. Costner has Neil McDonough. He has Will Patton, guys he's worked with.
Yeah,
Um, you know who Felix reminds me of, Rudy? My two favorite characters that I feel like are very similar are you and Lloyd Pierce. You guys have this like calming, this beautiful like this way about you, the way you treat people, the characters. It's very much like I don't know if you remember an actor called named Richard Farnsworth.
yeah,
Um,
sure.
yeah, you both remind me. And if Richard was alive today, I'm sure he'd be on the show. He's when I think of the West and Straight Story, he's right out of that. But
Yeah.
you remind me very much of Lloyd Pierce in the sense that down deep, you're just wonderful human beings. These characters. Is that an accurate comparison? Is that am I close to something there?
Yeah, yes, it is. Felix is very close to my heart,
Yeah,
and it wasn't hard to develop, an inner dialogue. The words were there, and I have those feelings. So I am a pretty calm person, and because of my age, I have learned a lot.
yeah,
So when I'm doing these wonderful scenes, that I just really just bring me out even more so. So and I think that I was able to bring that to the character. I think that that's what Taylor saw when I did that reading that got me the part, especially he wanted me to say one line a little different when in my reading, and I did, but I didn't know who said it, and I said, oh yeah, I could do that. So did that scene again, and I did my last line differently. I kind of I just softened it like, and that's when he said, yep, that's it.
yeah,
And I thought, okay, this is the way that scene goes. Now I know.
yeah.
He sold it for me right then.
Yeah,
That, that guy,
and Rudy, you know what else I don't think is a coincidence? Oftentimes when we see Felix, he's wearing that Vietnam veteran hat. I feel like that's not a coincidence when they show him wearing that hat. I feel like it's almost like, listen, there's lots of people that went over to Vietnam to fight. Like, just please don't forget that. Like, I don't know. Maybe I'm reading more into it, but I feel like the fact that he wears that hat, I'm not going to say it's a statement, but I'm going to say it's more than just casual wear.
no, I think it is a statement. They've just never really, because we took off so quick.
Yeah,
We got so big so quick that there are storylines that haven't been explored.
sure.
And I get a lot of uh, fans writing me say we want to see more of Felix. We want,
Yeah,
and that's one of the characters that is a recurring character, and the show's not about me, so that it hasn't really been able to be explored uh, more than it has been. Uh, and I'm fine with that too, because like I said, the show's not about me. I'm just a part of the show. But yeah, I do think it is a statement
yeah,
that shows you another color, another level of my character. Just that hat, that's a
yeah.
statement.
Yep.
Yeah,
And I love the way he
I'm glad you saw that. Thank you.
yeah, I tell you, I pay attention, Rudy. I pay attention.
Yeah, yeah, you do.
And I love the way he treats Tate, Casey, and Monica like they're his own kids. Like it's not just Monica he gravitates. I mean, obviously he cares for Monica, but he embraces them all. He's very nurturing to all of them.
Yeah,
He's very important to all of them. And that's another facet to Felix that I really love a lot.
yeah. Taylor let me kind of develop that relationship with Luke, who plays
Yeah.
Casey, and I really like Luke anyway. He's a really, really nice guy, and
Yeah.
a sweet, sweet person and wonderful actor. But we kind of have developed a thing, and it was in episode one whenever I had to tell him, well, now we're gonna fight. and maybe you should go home and take care of my granddaughter. And we had a conversation about that, and then my last line was, until they find a cure for human nature, man
Yeah.
always do the wrong thing or something. And I said, man has to stay with his own people. And then I took a pause, and Taylor had built me a little thing so I could get to stand on, because he's tall, and I just could walk right up to him, and I put my hands on him, and I said, and you are not our people.
Hmm.
And you saw in his, it was like a gut punch to him.
Yeah.
And that's Taylor's writing. And there was more to that scene. He said, well, man chooses his own people. But Taylor, when we had that moment, he cut it right there. Because there was more. I walked away. He said something. I turned around and I said, well, choose then. That was good writing. But when we had that moment, and I walked away, and they yelled cut when I was walking away. And I thought, okay, I think we found something here. And that's the way they left it. People come up to me all the time. They sneak up on me, put their hands on me, and say, you are not our people. I'm a little edgy, a little jumpy sometimes. And people grab me and they'll say that line, and I love it. How many projects do you do where people come and they repeat your lines? I've had that happen a couple of times.
Yeah.
In a movie one time I did with Jan Michael Vincent and Art Carney called Defiance. It was really a good movie, but it fell into one studio made it, and then they were sold to another studio about the time it was going to be released. And the studio that bought that company didn't want anything to do with the movie that they didn't make. But it was finally several years later sold to CBS. And remember they used to have the CBS Saturday night movies, and it was #1 rated movie for that month. Wow. It was really a good film, and I played a New York Puerto Rican street gang member.
Yeah,
leader of a gang, and then I had a couple of lines in there that was pretty scary, and people used to come up to me and repeat those lines from that movie.
Yeah, that's great. That's great. And one of the other things I noticed about Felix too, as well as Mo brings Plenty's character, as well as Gil's character, there's a restraint that they show, right? They don't, because Rip and Beth lose their minds like this, like they just go from 0 to 1 million in a blink of an eye. I feel like Felix, I feel like Mo, I feel like Gil's character, they show restraint. They have this passive way, and they could. Mo has a level to him we haven't seen yet. That you never want to see. Same with Gil. Same, and is that an accurate observation? You think?
Yes, it is. And my take on that is that's the native way.
Right.
That's the native way. Hold it all in, and be reserved. Anytime that you are around just all natives, you'll see that even just amongst our own people. And then you get as goofy as anybody else. But that restraint that's just a part of that's a native way.
Maybe the one exception, Rudy, being the attorney on the one that they never wanted to go near. I forget her name now.
The new attorney.
She's maybe not. She's maybe the exception to that rule, because she looks like she's going to a level that we're not going to be able to process. But
there's troublemakers in every tribe, and she's one of them.
Yeah, very, very well said. A couple of other Taylor's work, Sicario, Hell or High Water, Wind River. Have any of them stood out to you as far as before you got this role? Any of those movies, Wind River? Did any of those?
I saw them all three, and I loved them all.
Yeah.
I loved Sicario, and I didn't know who Taylor was. And then what was the second one, the middle one?
It was Wind River, Sicario, and Hell or High Water.
Hell or High Water. And I loved that film, and I loved what Gil did in that film. And then I saw, what was the third one?
It was Hell or High Water, Sicario, and Wind River.
And Wind River. And that movie blew me away. It was real powerful. and the girl who plays my granddaughter, Kelsey Asbiel, she was in the opening. She was in the movie. She's the one who got raped and killed.
Yes.
But in
Oh, I never connect that. Yes, you're
Yes,
right.
yeah. But in the opening of the movie, there was this young girl naked running up in the snow.
For like five or like a bunch of miles. Yes, I forgot. How did I miss that?
That,
Oh
that
my
was
god.
that was Kelsey, and it was real snow, and that's that. I mean, she's fearless. I can't think of any actress that would have done that. She did in the cold. And then
Wow.
in that rape scene, I don't know if you saw, but I mean, she was really fighting. She was really fighting, and they
Yeah.
took her down. But I mean, she was throwing some. She was throwing some. But yeah, she's fearless. But yeah, that movie just broke my heart.
Oh, it's hard to watch Gil at the end. Like it's beyond. It's one of my
Yeah,
all time favorites because it's so has so much humanity behind it, so much emotion behind it. And the fact that they almost like don't keep statistics of who's missing when it comes to Native American women is like a, 10 miles past heartbreaking. It's just so I don't
and
know.
and that's. I'm so happy that Taylor brings that to the forefront of
Yeah.
any of his projects because it's something that's gone on forever, and it
Mm,
gets no attention whatsoever because the reservation police have all authority there, and the regular police don't. So they don't even bother.
mm.
Even if there's somebody, they found a body and you call them, that you need to, they won't come. They
There was a
won't.
little of that in Yellowstone, right, Rudy?
Yeah.
There's a
Oh
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
that's based on truth.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's
Why
a
do you?
it's a serious, serious problem. You want to get rid of a body, go to the reservation, dump
Oh,
it. I mean,
yeah,
even if it didn't happen on the reservation to a native, somebody that's just like a dumping yard. But unfortunately, it does happen to many natives, native women, young
yeah,
women, native women. Yes,
yeah.
and
And
it's just sorry.
James Jordan, who plays one of the livestock agents, he plays the guy at the end that Jeremy Renner makes walk in the snow. He goes, "When you're as tough as," or I forget the line, but remember he makes him walk the snow like she walked the snow, and he couldn't do it. Remember barefoot at the end, he makes him walk this in the snow
No, I don't
at
remember
the
that.
at the end of Wind River. He because remember she had to walk in the snow at the beginning, and it was like so painful, and she was so fierce and tough. In Wind River, Jeremy Renner made James Jordan, who plays the guy that was behind that rape scene, do the same thing that she had to do at the beginning of the movie, just to show him how tough she was. So
Oh yeah.
it's just a very small world. Why do you think Yellowstone works, Rudy?
Um, well, the writing is there. It
Mm-hmm.
is there, and then having a world class crew, cast and crew. Uh, the crew is as important as the cast, and
Yeah.
they're the best I've ever worked around. And the acting, the actors are all just perfectly picked, and we've all been doing it a long time. So we're with that material, but it's the material is what makes it click.
Mm, mm,
Kevin is a really good lead man, and that drew people to see it, I think, in the first place, because I don't think people really realized who Taylor Sheridan was or any of the people who have become stars, in the last 3, 4, 5 years. But that got us an audience. And the thing that it's the material. It's Taylor's writing
yeah.
for sure. And that writing will always continue. Yellowstone will be his baby. That's the one that put him on the map, even after he had nominated for an Academy Award for Hell or High Water.
Yeah.
And Wind River, he won at the Cannes Film Festival a director award there.
Yeah.
And it should have done well over here, but at the time, Harvey Weinstein's name was attached
That's right. That's right. Yes.
to that
Yeah.
project. And when all of that stuff started coming out about him, it
Mm,
killed that movie. A lot of people don't know that,
mm,
but you do, and
yeah.
I do. I
Mm,
remember watching it at the Directors Guild in Hollywood. Kathy and I went over to see the screening of the movie, and
mm.
when uh, uh, Harvey's name came on, the audience booed.
Wow.
So
Wow.
it had it had no chance because I think that Gil should have been nominated for an Academy Award, and the Comanche tribe was going to back him with finances. And then when all that happened, they said, "Can't do it. Just throw money away."
Yeah,
so that's what killed that. And I don't think that I'm sharing anything that
no.
We all don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
Gil wouldn't be upset, but because I was upset that I asked him one time, why, how could they not nominate you, Gil? I said, I voted for you because I'm an Academy member. I said, I voted for you. And we were going to the rap party in a car. Somebody was driving us. And he told me that story.
Yeah, he's terrific. He's just so good, and so he's got such a way. Yeah, you're right. He probably would have been nominated for sure.
Oh yeah, he's the one that tore my heart out.
Yeah.
In that movie.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
And it's tough to watch the Broken Rock Reservation because there's always a sense of there's definitely pride, but there's always a sense of sadness, and you can clearly see a lot of the poverty that goes on in the reservation. I love how they're so authentic to that. They're not trying to cover it up and make it look such a wonderful, like it's a sad thing. Like and I'm not trying to sound like somebody who's like breaking new ground here with information, but it's a very difficult and sad place to watch because even though I'm one behind the current one. I mean, the president's starting to come in now and they're shooting the dogs like they don't matter. Like, I was like, what is going on here?
Yeah, that kind of got me too, and I don't understand that.
Yeah,
I don't know that a president's ever been to a reservation in modern times.
Right.
But yeah, but if Taylor wrote it, it probably happened.
Oh, I don't doubt it. I don't doubt that at all. I have a few more questions. Thank you for this time, Rudy. I really appreciate it.
It's a pleasure talking to you. Believe me.
Yeah, it's mutual for sure. The one character I have that my wife loves her. I have a tough time with her approach is Beth. I don't get it. Like, I know Jamie is a flawed character. Like, I get it. But I hate when she like belittles him, tells him to kill him. Like, for me, Beth is a terrific actor. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying the character, it's played so well. I can't. I don't relate to Beth. I don't get her style. I don't like her style. I think I'm alone in that because everyone loves Beth except me.
Well, no, you're not alone, but you're in the minority because they love that character or they hate that character, and
yes.
the hate's way out both the ones that love her. I mean, there's T-shirts all over America that says "Don't mess with me. I'll put Beth on you." It's all kinds of stuff.
Yeah, that's
Beth
right.
T-shirts.
Yeah.
And the thing is she is so petite, and she, when I first met her, Kelsey introduced me to her over lunch on set one day. She said, come and sit down and eat with us. And she's got this English accent that's really heavy. And I knew she was English, but I didn't know that. I had seen her in another series several years ago, and she was really good. Yeah. And she spoke with an American accent. But when she's not doing Beth, she got a real strong English accent, and she's so small, but she's got that big personality. She's a wonderful actress, and I don't know that you're supposed to hate her, but people do. That's when because I've played a lot of villains. Yeah. I've been slapped before because of a role that I did, and this lady came up and just slapped me. And I went, what are you doing? She said, "You deserve that," and then walked off. And I thought, well, I guess I did my job. So she does her job, and she does treat Jamie horribly. But he's starting to.
He's starting to earn some of that. I agree. I agree.
But not what the way that she does it. But it works.
Yeah,
it works. But
earlier, earlier you mentioned I think you said your wife was into horses, or you. I thought I read you.
We both have horses, but she's much higher level than me. I mean, she does reining. She's been a reiner.
Wow.
Now she's on to something else. But yeah, she had the horse Jake, who we still have. He's at a retirement farm up by it's called Squiyama. It's right above Ojai. He was the California Horse of the Year in 2001 or two, and
Wow.
and reigning. Yeah, Jakey boy,
Wow.
Jakey. He was the champion.
Well,
And the California's a big state too.
yeah, yeah. Rudy, what is it about horses and horse movies? I got to tell you, like Rip said, I'd rather kill 1,000 men before I kill another horse, and absolutely see where he's coming from. You know,
Yes,
you talk about movies like The Horse Whisperer, Seabiscuit, Dreamer, Warhorse, Hidalgo. They hit you right in the heart. Like it's like a massive kick. Like these are such stunning, beautiful animals that are. I don't know what Rudy. What is it? Am I just emotional?
yeah, you are, but for the right reason. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm emotional too. They are the most magnificent, one of the most magnificent animals on this planet, and they are the most misunderstood animal in this planet. No one bothers to think the way that a horse thinks or
Mm,
sees it from their point of view. They
mm,
try to force them to do it. That's why, like the people who are really horse whisperers, although there's no such a thing, but
right.
they do things in a natural way. And when I came into horses, my wife Kathy was already into natural horsemanship, and I learned from watching her learn even more. She's much higher level, but I learned. I mean, I've never seen a horse that she couldn't do something with when their owners had given up. And in a very short time, because she speaks their language, she communicates with them by body language. So she earns their respect.
Yeah.
They respect her as their leader, and so then pretty soon they just start doing what she asks because she is asking for this or that. And when they show just even a try, she'll just stop what she's doing and give them a rub, and then you keep doing that. Pretty soon they've got it. Now that's a slow way to go, but it's a good way to go. And I've seen her have seen work with some really rank horses and have them. She was riding them. The hard thing within a month, maybe two, and then turn them back to the owner, and they undo everything you've done in about a week
Uh, yeah.
because they won't bother to learn how to relate to a horse. They're not dogs, they're not cats, they're not pets. They can kill you. I got kicked in the face by a horse, and most people
Wow.
die when they get a kick like that, or they are in a coma for the rest of their lives. It just knocked me down, but it just my right orbital was just smashed like stepping on a bag of potato chips. But it
Wow.
didn't have any. I didn't lose my eye. I didn't lose any teeth. There was no more brain damage than what was already there because I was a child of the '70s. So
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
no, but I love watching skilled horsemen train horses that are not broke,
Yeah.
or they have some really they've gotten into some really bad habits because of the way that human has been handling them, and they don't trust.
Yeah.
You earn their respect, and they're just beautiful animals. If you just sit there and rub one, pretty soon they love it too.
Yeah.
They don't trust. There's nothing in the world feels any better than when you're just rubbing a horse, and then it just drops its head down like that, and you're just still rubbing it, and they're just
Uh,
quietly. And I mean, you're talking about 1,200 pounds of dynamite that could blow up at any minute, and they've just given everything they have to you. That's a great feeling.
that's a great answer. You know,
Their,
Rudy, I
their instinct on horses is absolutely right. They are magnificent animals.
about 20 years ago, Rudy, I had a friend who owned a horse, and she brought me to go horseback. Maybe it was a little bit longer, maybe 20, 25 years ago, to go horseback riding. She had a horse, and then we both had kind of went. I was just, and to this day, and these aren't like, they weren't super huge horses. They were just, I would assume just like a regular size horse, but the sheer massiveness of it, just being on top of it, like I'll never forget it. Like you watch it on TV, you're like, oh, that's just like riding a bike, or it's like, you are
No,
high up on this huge beast. Like I'll never forget that. I will never forget the massiveness of these animals.
it's about 1,000, 1,200 pounds of dynamite, and
Mm,
they can launch you a long way. But they're really magnificent animals. They're just mistreated and misunderstood.
mm, mm.
Just much like dogs and cats are too. They're just bigger. But the animals are. It's just not. they're misunderstood. You got to learn to relate to your animal, whether it's a dog, cat, or a horse.
Sure.
And you can. I've seen. I saw some videos the other day of like these people in someplace in Africa, and they got these babies following them around, and they grow up, and they see that person, and they start making noise, and they trot over to them, they put their whole body leaning against them, and they just rub them. They don't forget. That's
Yeah.
just somebody that has a way with those animals. I wouldn't try it, but I don't know anything about dealing with an animal or a big cat or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. And you
Just
got me.
real, yeah,
Yeah.
no,
And you got me thinking because just thinking about the show, thinking about Taylor here. I really we talked about his writing, his directing. I didn't realize how good of an actor he was, Rudy.
oh
Like
yeah.
I didn't realize it. I mean, he's blown me away with his. He's a natural on camera. I was not expecting that.
You know he was in Sons of Anarchy for 3 years, don't you?
You know, if he was, and I watched that show, I probably forgot. I probably
You,
forgot.
you know the town that they lived in, the bikers. It was called. Forget what the name of, but there was a sheriff and there was a deputy sheriff,
Yeah.
and Taylor was the deputy sheriff. And he
Ah.
had a really good part. He was in it for 3 years, and at the end of the third season, everybody got a raise but him. And he went to he's got a lot of huevos, Taylor. He just wanted a meeting with the suits, the powers that be, as to why he didn't get a raise,
Yeah.
and everybody else did. And they said, "Well, we didn't think you were worth it."
Oh my God.
And yeah, that's what I said. They said that. And he said, "That's what they said." I said, "What'd you do?" He said, "I just left. I didn't make a scene. I just left, and I didn't ever come back because he didn't
Yeah.
have a contract anymore. He didn't quit. They didn't fire him. He just passed." So
That's terrible.
that's when he started writing heavily, and his wife Nicole was very, very supportive, and she's a beautiful, gorgeous woman
Yeah.
as a model. And he started writing, and man, he that was the best thing that ever happened to him. That's what
It,
that's
and
what he wanted to do.
it's funny how that works, Rudy, right? Because it's funny how people find their destiny, right? Like you and your Geronimo play. I'm sure you weren't expecting this. I'm sure Taylor was like it's funny how adversity and negativity sometimes can spawn these like great moments, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
My
It,
last question. Go ahead. I'm sorry, Rudy.
it's no, it's just like stuff that was meant to be. Uh,
Yes.
did happened. When I got into acting, I didn't come to California to be an actor. I just came because I was a young kid and I wanted to get out of Oklahoma. I didn't see anything there for me, and all of these things started happening, and I just followed them. I figured, that the creator had a reason for this happening, and I just followed it. I just followed it and followed it, and here I am, 53 years later, talking to you. I'm still
Yeah.
doing it.
That's
So,
great.
and
Yeah.
I believe that way. You don't mess with it, just follow it. And if it's a bad thing, you'll sense it, and you know, I move away from bad things. I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've
Yeah.
been part of bad things before, and I went, oh, I don't think so. I'm
Yeah.
getting my hat and I'm out of here. So
Yeah, yeah. My last question for you is do you know Taylor's plan for Felix moving forward, or do you know the plan for Felix moving forward? Um
no, I do not.
mm,
I have no idea. The storylines keep changing, uh, and I've seen that pattern, and I know it to be true. We are such a big hit that every year there's new characters that come on, and some stay, and then some just do they're winding out, and then the next year the same thing, and then the next year the same thing, and uh, the bunkhouse gang, the bunkhouse boys plus the girl, they've gotten bigger. Some of them have gone. They've gotten bigger. Their roles have gotten bigger. There's only
mm,
so much to go around um, in a 1 hour show, and I see the storylines are moving away from the reservation and more towards the Yellowstone, and now John Dutton is the governor. So I don't know. I don't I don't even know if I'm in their plans, but I wouldn't say, oh, no, I'm not, because you don't know Taylor. You don't know what
yeah.
he's going to do. When he needs you, he'll call you. When we first started the show, the day that I got into Utah, I was brought to the set to meet with the wardrobe lady who was on set, and also, I think, the makeup people. And then on the way back to the hotel, I was with Buck Taylor. Buck Taylor just, died in one of these episodes.
Yeah.
And he said, Rudy, I've worked with this guy. I said, what guy? He said, Taylor. I said, oh, really? And he said, yeah, I've done a couple of movies with him. And he said, he uses a lot of the same actors over and over. And he said, I think this thing's going to go 3-4 years. So just hang in there. Yeah. And I know Buck for a long, long time. And I said, oh, well, that's nice to know. And he was right. See, he was in all 5 seasons too. He just got killed. And like Taylor said, I don't kill the old ones, but he let him die a really beautiful death.
Yeah, he died under the tree, right, Rudy? Yeah. That was and Costa or John Dutton was very adamant about that's the way. Even Rip said that's the way to go. That's an honorable way to go. That's the way you want to go.
You asked something about, and I'll stop this, but Kevin is a real on set when he's acting. If any little thing needs to be corrected, he will speak up, and never in a way that's degrading to anybody. He just will point things out that he feels should be fixed.
Yeah,
and he's a real stickler for that. Even the little boy, Tate. Tate. Well, we all love Kevin. I love Kevin. He's become a really good friend, and I'm so grateful for that too. He's always got my back. And the little boys had learned so much from him, and then now he's starting to lean on me because he's getting older and he's not afraid of me. We had this scene in that first episode, in the 6th episode, where I was trying to tell him about share something real personal needed to tell a little boy about that, and I took him out of the house when his mom and dad were inside. Took him out, put him on the swing, and I was trying to tell him something, and he was in his swing and he was rocking like that. And I was saying, Tate. And he didn't. And I shook that swing that he was on, and he went like that. And everybody said, hey. And then we shot it again. So I finally got his attention. And then we did the scene, and it was really a beautiful scene that Taylor wrote. Yeah. But after we did the scene, Taylor was walking by, and I was going the other way, and he said, "Boy, I wouldn't want to have you for my grandfather."
Yeah, and I love the way Costner never calls him Tate; he always calls him grandson. Yeah. Like, it's just so cool. It's just this show is so great because of the all-star cast. Rudy, I am such a big fan, and I really value and treasure every minute you gave to me tonight, and I can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Your audience should know we just met when the show started. As a matter of fact, I was a little late because we was having trouble with the lighting here.
Yeah. But
it's a pleasure talking to you, and somebody who's knowledgeable, not just about my parts, but the show and everybody on it. It was a treat, real treat.
Oh,
thank you so much.
Thank you, Rudy. Take care of yourself. All the best.
I shall. You too.
Bye-bye.
Merry Christmas.
Same to you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Derek Thomas and Monday Morning Critic Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, you can also connect with Monday Morning Critic on Instagram and Facebook, MDM Critic on Twitter, subscribe on Apple Podcasts or wherever podcasts are found. All episodes available, www.mmcpodcast.com.